Thank you very much for the introduction, and I'm quite keen to follow up on that. So it's my pleasure and honor to represent Global BioImaging Consortium and also to pitch various capabilities which would be of interest to you for collaborations. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a snapshot of Singapore's preclinical and translational bioimaging capacity, and with predominant focus on Singapore BioImaging Consortium. So as of the agenda, I will go through the mission and operation strategies, and in the specific interest of this program, take a deep dive on the human resource and talent development strategies currently in place in SBIC, and the various collaboration models, and highlighted by some of the major nationwide large cohort study R&D programs. Finishing off with the spotlight events of the year conducted by SBIC, and also give you a very short sneak preview of the peer bioimaging centers in Singapore who offer complementary capacity. So conventionally, SBIC has been a preclinical imaging consortium, and for the mode of operation, we have split our operations into 3 laboratories. The first of which is Laboratory of Molecular Imaging, which has all these 4 clusters. The first 2, magnetic resonance and bio-optical, are pretty strong. And in MR, we have ultra-high field MRI systems dedicated for research and development purpose, looking at 9.4, 11.7, and even the cryo-coil can go even higher resolution. And we are proud of our bio-optical imaging capabilities, that we are a leader and with some of the applications globally. We also have an active PET and SPECT isotopic imaging capacity in SBIC. And we have a very strong signal and image processing group and capacity in SBIC. So next is the Laboratory of Molecular Medicine, in which we have the neuroscience cluster, which does a lot of neuroimaging activities as well. And also core biology activities in terms of energy homeostasis in health and diseases, exemplified by DNP, hyperpolarized MR spectroscopy. And last but not the least is the Laboratory of Molecular Chemistry, which has a very active radiochemistry and synthetic chemistry group. And we are in a position to synthesize our own radio traces as well. And currently in attention is our capacity to move into food chemistry and analysis, which is of a significant focus nationwide in Singapore at the moment. And we are on the verge of setting up our own Center for Human Imaging Innovation, which will be an MR clinical imaging facility in SBIC for some strategic reasons, which I will go through in the next upcoming slides. So SBIC is the leading research and innovation center in APAC for biomedical research and transfers using a lot of bioimaging tools. And we offer seamless preclinical to clinical translation platforms for in vivo imaging in partnership with various clinical research institutions and hospitals in all 3 main clusters of Singapore, namely SingHealth, NUHS, and NSG. And we also support predominantly the radiographers and clinical radiologists in this community. We have always been industry ready, and in fact, we are, ever since the beginning, we have a strong interface with industry. Be it on the biopharma, food and nutrition, fine chemicals, personal care, or medical device space. We operate 5 joint public-private partnership labs with various industry partners, Nikon, Bruker, Ithera, Medison, and NPA. Just to explain what we do on the context of this particular audience group, with Nikon, we have a facility in SBIC, which we basically rent out the space for free. And we offer them an opportunity to position all their advanced microscopy equipments in our capacity. And they use this site as a testing site, and also to invite all the various customers and R&D community to do their research in Singapore, from A STAR as well as anywhere from Singapore. We don't charge them, and they don't charge any of these research community players. But the return, what they expect is an acknowledgement of the particular scanner microscope which they use. So that it works both ways, beneficial for us and also for Nikon. That they get a return on investment by this visibility and piece of marketing for them. And then we get to try and test out with novel advanced microscopy. And we are also trained by Nikon employees in our facility. And we have a long-standing master service agreement with Siemens. And similarly, we are in the verge of setting up one with Mortila. So as I mentioned, out of the core activities of SBIC, which is knowledge creation, applications and program development and technology innovation, which are split in this ratio. All these activities contain industry-facing components. Altogether, it represents around 30% of our overall efforts. So we are a matrix organization enabling capabilities across all these imaging domains. And we look at selected major public health issues as well as innovation for life imaging all through the way. Industrial partners and also collaborators look up for us for our quality standards. This is something of a predominant focus by our Executive Director, Prof. Kazan. Since his time, he has been investing a lot of time in implementing and also improving the standards day in, day out. And we are constantly moving the bars in terms of getting ISO certification for every single layer. So looking at the human resource pool and SBIC, we are a multidisciplinary team of biologists, chemists, engineers, physicists, and clinicians coming from various international locations and training. This is a quick snapshot. We are at a headcount of 108. 75 of them are PhD and above. On average, we produce 100 plus peer-reviewed good public impact papers per year, and our patent portfolio stands at 65 currently. So apart from the A STAR encouraged human resource and talent development practices, we have some unique talent development practices in place in SBIC. First of which is teach the scientists. This is because given our diverse multidisciplinary background and people come from various countries, we want to ensure compliance and quality in all our deliverables. So as part of the induction and onboarding program, we have in-house training and education programs led by PIs, in-house experts, as well as industrial partners such as Bruker, Nikon, Renaissance, and Siemens on annual basis, offering core training, more like a revision and also advancing their technical knowledge in NMR, MRI, as well as optical imaging, including good laboratory practices when it comes to cell culture. So our research directors and PAs are quite active and effective in securing major grants. But then we also have so-called SBIC Research Award, in which we encourage young research scientists, junior research fellows to apply for this grants, which is like standing at 50K per year or running over 2 years. And so far, this has been quite successful. We have had a lot of active presentations and original publications. And 5 out of the 8 recipients who received the SBIC Research Award were pretty much good in their pitch that they were able to secure young investigator research grants in the subsequent year from National Medical Research Council, Singapore. And we also have so-called Teach the Clinicians initiative, because given the core medical physics knowledge which rests as SBIC, we want to be in a position to help the clinical community who don't have much time to really get into the tips, and also to make the transition of the advanced protocols in the clinical setting. So this is one of the programs, SingaScope Duke and US clinical program, where resident radiologists are being embedded into SBIC for several months, through which they run a preclinical research project and also translate the unique technical developments in SBIC into their own setting. And through this program, we also make sure that all the advanced imaging protocols are implemented in their scanners and they are in a position to be able to run them smoothly. As I mentioned, we also offer hands-on support to various Department of Radiology. In KK Children's and Women's Hospital, SBIC has invested in the MRI research facility, and we own 50% of their R&D time in the scanner, through which we run a lot of our major clinical programs in KKH. In SingHealth, again, we have strong programs where our medical physicists are positioned there as joint collaborating visiting scientists to enable a lot of transition. And we have a similar situation with NUHS and National Neuroscience Institute. Last but not the least, so in Singapore, we have so-called A STAR scholars. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this term. So here A STAR encourages students, and they fund the students to go into premier international universities to do their PhD program. And then they are being invited back to serve a bond, to serve the A STAR or Singapore ecosystem. And we have been quite good in attracting and identifying those A STAR scholars, anticipating their return, and also assign a mentor and guide them along the way. And we are one of the RI who have been very strong in recruiting them back into our consortium. And since 2017, we have had 12 research scholars. Overall, since that time, we have 22 A STAR research scholars working in SBIC, which is well appreciated by the Ministry and the A STAR HQ. And not just that, we also have opportunities for students through attachment programs who can potentially get into A STAR scholars or otherwise. So our ED has a predominant focus on skills development beyond our core technical skills, and also enabling transition into industry. So just in the last 2 years, we have had 8 of our staff moving successfully into industry and also co-founding some of the A STAR and non-A STAR spin-offs. And I was fortunate to be one of them. And there is emphasis for continued education in technology commercialization, intellectual property, and commercial law. And also to do MBA programs. 5 of our SBIC scientists hold an MBA, 3 who have done the program during their tenure in SBIC as an executive MBA part-time, and 2 or more are still registered and ongoing. So shifting the gears a bit, ever since induction, SBIC has been very outward-looking, and it has established strategic collaborations with a lot of premier universities and research centers around the world. And when it comes to inter-RI collaboration, SBIC is one of the strongest. So we used to have so-called JCO, Joint Council Office, which enables and promotes joint projects between biomedical sciences and science and engineering research councils within A STAR. And we have been successful in getting almost 23 of those grants in the past years. It's worthwhile to note, 11 out of our 13 principal investigators and group leaders have joined adjunct appointments with other national premier institutions, thereby enabling cross-pollination and greater collaboration work. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a similar situation with the clinical community as well. We work very closely with the clinical community. And when it comes to industry facing, so these are just a snapshot of the various MNCs and SMEs and startups we have worked on. So on the left in gray are the major projects which we have completed, and in blue are the joint labs which are currently in operation in SBIC with the industry partners. And blue are the MNCs, and green the SMEs and startups in Singapore, where we extend subsidized project rates, and then we promote a lot of work in collaboration with them. So looking at the main research and innovation areas, it falls into 3 categories. And I will go through them along with the key programs, which are the large cohort studies in which SBIC has got a phenomenal contribution. Basically, in all these nationwide large cohort programs, the imaging team would be led by SBIC. So that's the bottom line. Looking at nutrition and dysmetabolism in diabetes, obesity, fat metabolism, and liver cancer, we have had all these advanced programs where the imaging team were led by Dr. Sakthivel and Professor Hamley from our consortium. And ATTRACT, which was one of the national significance program, which on looking at heart failure, was led by our ED, Professor Patrick Ozon. The imaging team, he was the overall lead. Similarly, we have a focused neuroscience program looking at central control of food intake. We discovered some of the unique neuronal clusters which basically drive the food intake in a rodent brain. And now we have the clinical translation going on. So we believe that would be a major breakthrough for managing obesity in the near future. So moving on to food and nutrition and personal care. So there is a strategic shift, and we are repurposing some of our equipment to look at food analysis. What I mean by them is we are in a good position to look for and characterize any adulterants in a food product, as well as authenticity, basically the source of the food. For example, if they claim honey to be coming from Manuka, we can readily say whether it's really from Manuka or somewhere else in the world. And also quality control and food safety. With our optical imaging results, we have a prominent presence in skincare. Similarly, in PET, we have a cancer immunotherapy imaging program, which is a major program going on at the moment, wherein the biology and imaging teams are led by SBIC PIs. So we have a bespoke imaging solution for both industrial and academic needs established. So a quick snapshot of some of the events organized by SBIC in collaboration with ISMRM, the International Society for Magnetic Resonance in Medicine. So given a strong presence in metabolic disorder right now. So this was a workshop which was conducted last month, and we have one coming up next month, led by our Deputy Director, Professor Andy Fink, on metabolic diseases again. So where are we heading? So the research ecosystem has changed a bit in Singapore. The traditional industry partners have gone, namely the pharmaceutical industry. And so it's a case for academic collaborators and some of our staff. So market demands being different, focused on FNCC and non-invasive, non-irradiating human imaging, and the increased use of artificial intelligence and deep learning capacity in imaging. We have moved our focus while keeping our core themes to enable a lot more food testing and food analysis needs, and also developing a vertical integration of human imaging capacity in LAC by repurposing some of the existing equipment which were conventionally used for large animal imaging. And we are extending our capacity in AI and deep learning. So on that note, let me slightly shift the gear page, and then this is a quick preview of peer bioimaging centers in Singapore. So in US has a translational molecular imaging lab, which has a PET and SPECT paired with high-resolution CT, bioluminescence, and fluorescent imaging. SingHealth has a similar one, which has micro-SPECT CT and micro-PET MR with a combination of various other imaging modalities, which there is a lot of program we also do in complementary to each other. And Nanyang Technology University has established a strong neuroscience core, wherein they have a preclinical imaging lab, and with emphasis on whole brain, and cognitive neuroimaging center emphasis on cognition and clinical neuroimaging on disease biomarkers. A couple of our staff play a predominant role in setting up these centers, and they are still active players there. And Clinical Imaging Research Center, CARC in NUS, it used to be more of a joint lab or a sister concern of SBIC. Only for some strategic reasons they are independent right now. So they have a CIMF, Cognitive Medicine Preclinical Imaging Facility, having a 7 Tesla MRI system. And they also offer state-of-the-art MRI and PET for clinical research. And they also have an in-house production of PET radiopharmaceuticals, which is a joint appointment with SBIC. So one of our PI, Dr. Ed Robbins, is the deputy director of this particular center. So we work on a hub and spoke model. We have our reach in all these clinical institutions. So with state-of-the-art instrumentation and critical mass of imaging experts, we develop applications for clinical community and lead strategic partnership for industry partners for technology developments. Thereby we coordinate nationwide biomedical efforts and initiative. On that note, I would like to thank you all for the opportunity, and I'm glad to take any questions.
Thanks a lot, Sekar. Questions, Phil?
So, that's fabulous. Your funding model, it sounds more like a national lab. So you're funded by federal government and by your industry partners. I heard you say it's not a fee for service.
Okay, so being an A STAR research institute, we do have core funds. Our contribution comes from the HQ, A STAR HQ. But then we also are predominantly run by competitive research grants, which are written and then secured by our principal investigators. And when it comes to industry, we have joint programs where we try to clock in industrial involvement in terms of either in-kind or cash contributions as well. In-kind meaning they would loan a particular piece of equipment or at cost, and then we run those kind of stuff. And apart from that, we also offer complimentary fee-for-service to the industrial partners. We also act like a CRO for a specific project.
Complementary means what?
When it comes to a preclinical imaging trial or a clinical trial going forward, we will be able to offer it as a fee-for-service contract, fully confidential.
So, this is how the advanced photon source works at Oregon National Lab. So I've been consulting with them. They're actually thinking about moving to a fee-for-service model. But I prefer your model.
No, we don't go, we don't get to become totally as a CRO, even though there was some emphasis in the past for that. So we want to sustain our core activity as being a research and innovation center and keep developing our R&D capacity. But then when industry wants those solutions and they're not really up to publications or something like that, we offer fee-for-service contracts as well. And we have done a lot of them in the past.
Any other questions for Sekar? Thanks a lot for presenting that, and I think it would be great if you can join Graham in the effort of linking us up more with preclinical imaging, where there's really now a seamless transition between optical imaging and these more medically oriented technologies. So that's great.
Sure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.